the deserter. An old man, wearing tracksuit trousers, leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth and spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp. He's practically tearing up from spite. Hatred got the best of him a long time ago. This man hates everything. And there's his gun. Nice gun you got there.
It's not nice, it's a piece of shit. Gets the job done.
Is that a Belmo grave?
It's
on my grave?
446.
What the fuck? Southeast Samoan made. Exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
Rifle? How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Xingao commune. Military aid.
The Xingao commune?
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk wiped from a board.
His gaze turns inward. He's right. Almost no one remembers there was a third metastasis of the World Revolution in the Safre Empire. Extinguished in 06. It's not wiped from the board. I remember it.
They wouldn't like hearing their name coming from your mouth. That damn dog.
Are you the fire guy?
What now? I can't hear you.
Did you recently tell 2 kids to put out their fire? 2 twins?
They have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around trying to give up the position. Fire guy, regressive bourgeoisie henchman, can't even talk like a grown-up.
And you've retained your eyesight, I see.
My eyesight, yes, helps me see all this shit.
Did you close the blast door?
I did. And you opened it. How?
Field the generator and use the console.
I should have burned that console down.
He shakes his head. How did you know I was coming?
Reactionary rock and roll music playing on the
Fuck's sake.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
But you didn't say that, Kim.
I did.
We have entered a world where he said you shouldn't. It is the only world. Fair enough. It was no reactionary. It was cool.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate, hip, gyrating, mental illness music.
Yeah, seems to sum me up. Sir, I need you to put down that gun so we can talk further. We're with the police. You know what? I'm with the police. You can keep the gun, but keep it down. Not one move.
No.
Lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's head and says...
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're going to blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
The old man lays the rifle down carelessly and looks at it lying there, like an amputated limb in the sand. He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. Strange sadness, like a song. What did you say?
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid and cold.
The old man pulls back the hood of his plastic cape and looks up into the sky. It's blue-gray, same color as the sea. Those words, the future teaches you. Real music, real protocult, he nods. That's la revolution, not your rock and roll misanthropy. Chanson de soldat, the black and whites. Marching song. Forget about that for a moment. You need to address that remark first. I know La Revolutionnaire. It's the marching song of the World Revolution. There you go. His eyes remain fixed on the sky as he sighs and adds, one of 3. In Grad they sang brave children, favorites of history. And in Hisanyao it was... He struggles to remember and gives up. Some Samoan shit, I guess. In Hisanyao they sang Boy with a Scythe, Golden Sun. I fucking know what they sang. I watched those little fuckers die in my arms. Little ones came to help us. Were cut to shreds. You don't fucking tell me what they sang. He closes his eyes and exhales to calm himself. Revolutionary. I've heard that name somewhere else. In a dream. Everyone has. They named a fucking perfume after it. No, that's not it. I've talked to her. Talked to her? Raises his bushy brow and looks down from the sky, straight into your bloodshot eye. Yes. In the church. God's shithouse. He chortles. Should have taken it down like they did in Grad. Dismantled it for firewood. There was something there. When he said talk to her, he was curious. All around you, the air slowly circulates the island, carrying little swallows and black-beaked seagulls in its slow drift. They all, every one of them, every bird, mammal, and crustacean. What? Keep their distance. When I said I've talked to her, you were curious. I've seen kids lose their minds and start talking to the city, asking it to protect them when the shelling gets bad, calling it revolutionary. Cities can't talk. It's bourgeois idealism. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. How does it go? The song. How did it go? He looks at his gun on the ground and shakes his head slowly. Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. It's gone now. So if I can shoot rabbits, then I can shoot fascists too. Those are the next lines. What are you talking about? He squints and looks you straight in the eye. 2 black beads, moist from the sea air. Doesn't recognize it. Pick up the gun, lying in the sand. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places, with tape and wire. Inspect it closer. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm made of walnut. They say Trigon 446, Signal Commune, for Safra, and for all mankind. I know Serays. There's Vulgate Serays. You can barely intuit the words. No is stretching it. Kim, I know Serays. What does it say? He asked doubtfully. For Safra, and for all mankind. That's what the little guys told us. The old man says silently. Every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, they go on and on about their Safra, their mankind, and Mazov. Those men were commandos. They weren't shit on a stick like us. They were small and didn't say anymore. Thought dissipates on his lips. Look at the butt of the gun. On the butt you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangon, 446mm, made in Hisenyao. It's as he said. It's a Trigon, made in Hisenyao. No one said it has to be a Belmar grave. Lieutenant does not take his eyes off the old man. We weren't just guessing. From ballistics, it could have easily been a Trigon too. Doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does, which is why I'm about to repeat it. The right type and the right caliber. Lieutenant nods, glancing at the gun. He's liking this. Stow the gun. The old man keeps following your motions with his gaze. His left arm twitches suddenly. It's very much like the murder weapon. Can be used against him to get a confession. In time. Who are you? My name? He looks across the water and back at you. Is Josef Lilianovich Tros, political commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Rivershaw. I am a deserter, partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my time of surrender. His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull. There behind him, across the delta, the Insicom building. Coalition Government Insulindian Mission Control. The Commune of Rivershaw. Lieutenant forgets to close his mouth. Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the Insulindian Citizens Militia. The Army of the Revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in 07, trained in the Ecole, did control aérienne, and consigned to emergency defense duties in 08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism, myself, and resumed partisan duties. 51 minus 8 equals 43. You've been on this island for 43 years? No. He looks into the fire. A wisp of smoke rises from somewhere between the charred logs. I've been on other islands too. I was on Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was on E48, a nameless sound, till the sea washed over it. And I came back here. That was 22 years ago. So you've been hiding for 43 years. 43 years and 10 months. That's the length of my entire life. It's too long. It's not how a human being should live. Surprised he remembers how to speak. He grimaces, clearly in pain. But I couldn't just forget what I saw. He just couldn't. He couldn't give up. He nods. But he can now. What have you been doing during all this time? Hiding, fishing, waiting. He looks across the water. Where the afternoon grows late. No, it doesn't. Ruda sang his line. People walk home. Streetlights will soon be lit. Further inland, the streets are alive with workers, men, women, and children. Street hawks and migrant laborers. The temperature is steady. Cumulus clouds form above Precinct 41. 2 police officers step out from the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite Officer Jean Vicamer inspects a series of burnt black letters splashed across the plaza mosaic. Patrol Officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smoldering. One day, it says, I will return to your side. Always waiting. The old man turns his eyes from the shore and back to you. For what? For her to return. Her? Who? Girl, child, revolution. I come from there. I can assure you that is not what the people are planning. Or I've been there, the city is a tinderbox, it may still happen. Yeah, fuck it. It won't. He blinks his black eyes. The material base for an uprising has been eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore. However hard I try, whatever I do. What has he done? Perhaps a confession will lighten the load. What have you done? This is not the time to push. Actually, oh, fuck it, why not? What have you done then? Yes, what? To get things going again. Fan the flame? There is no flame to fan. He stares right through at him, blinking his dark eyes. There is nothing left of the world. Of our dreams. You said you deserted your unit? I was just 16 years old, 15, when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too. Lapse of faith? You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took. For what? For reaction to take hold. What's reaction? Petty bourgeois terror. It's in all men. And when was this exactly? May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. He looks north. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds, storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. Dark magic? The combined might of the international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flag tower. He gestures towards it. Huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in a zone, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room. He looks east. Terrible shame still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. Shame and smallness of what he became. We didn't go to the map room. No. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland. In the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse. Frightened of the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning whirring tiff, tiff, tiff. He looks at the sky. What was that? Airships. I climbed out, closed his eyes. Into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. Fortress was half submerged too, shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels, or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. He opens his eyes and stares right through you. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. Seen what? The mask of humanity fall from capital. He has to take it off to kill everyone. Everything you love. All the hope and tenderness in the world. Has to take it off just for 1 second. To do the deed. And then you see it. As it strangles and beats your friends to death, the sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear, power in its eyes. Then you know. What? That the bourgeois are not human. Let him finish. I had to. I had to fight it. I had to never stop. The old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin as he looks to some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. What is this place? This island? It's not an island, Traitor. He looks around. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol, and I am its last surviving defender. What was it used for? Conscientially deformed King Philippe II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in 02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against the airborne landing. Against the whole world. You mean the landing? Retaking of Revachol? Coalition military called it Operation Death Blow. He winces. They later found out on the radio. They called it Death Blow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Kailu alone. First, I'm not one of them. Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Murderers. It's true. I know what you mean. You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis. Iblis? The black-eyed angel. He nods. Shaitan Ahura. The darkened one. How have you survived all this time? How does anyone survive? He looks at his worn running shoes. They steal. Now hold on there. That's a choice. Could have become self-employed. Create the system. You're insane and grotesque. Everyone steals. Vegetables, supplies. It's the life of the dog. He coughs once more, puts a hand on his belly. How is your health, Mr. Dross? I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot, and passing it in stool, too. He does seem frail, gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer. The RCM can provide medical services. You'll need to be looked over. I need to die. Charles smiles, stretches across his mouth. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns. We have Dramamine and other opioid-based painkillers. You must be in pain. The light goes on in his eyes. He smacks his dry lips. They have been running out of that stuff. How have you coped? Mentally? I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... His eyes roll into his skull and back. I don't even know. Inferno. You notice the lieutenant is about to say something. I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation. Traitors. It's better alone. He nods towards Martinez. And watch the people of this city turn the lights back on. More and more each year. Ruins glimmering in the dark like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting. He looks down at his shoes. His face parched from the sun and the wind. There's a wince of pain in there somewhere. Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on? How have you concealed yourself all these years? It was hard in the tens. He shakes his head. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. He closes his eyes. Floodlights on the water at night. There were posters, campaigns. We communards still hoped, and they need... What? We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Coal City were turned to dust. He looked south, but Jamrock, Faubourg, even Koran, and Boogie Street, of course, those fucking Kiptsid had Mazov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol were still fighting. There were sailors. Tried to contact them. He shakes his head. Soon they all went silent. The frequency's dead. How did you get between here and the mainland? At night I use a dinghy. He nods toward the deflated tire in the reeds. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot. The Cummins, too. It started snitching. In the city, you move underground? From bunker to bunker. He nods. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. I think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I think I'm another... Oh, fuck. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. He falls silent. His gaze fixed on the shacks huddled together across the water. The weapons cache in the St. Ghislaine 22B. In the basement. Have you been there? He looks at you, then pulls the raincoat tight around his neck. So you finally found it. Must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right? They were damaged beyond use. I know. So you've been there. Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those Margraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chambers, however. You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across. Why don't you just walk there? I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, dogs. Men without ideals are only animals. He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting. Drinking. Laughing. There's a small bunker under the Feld building. You stayed there? Propaganda bunker. I used to. But not anymore. Propaganda bunker. They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda offices. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. Killed themselves? A lot of our boys did. Spent some winters there, never liked it. Kept thinking of them. He stares at the ruins of the Felt building. No need to go underground anymore. Better in the ruins, on the ground. One more question. Do you smoke Tiamatori cigarettes? I do. Ever smoke them on the mainland? They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the back too. Reminds me of the last century. Tell me another thing. The old man looks across the water. The city. The ruins. The motorways rising above it. You said this is your termless surrender? You're with the RCM. He waves in your general direction. Coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol. We're not coalition-appointed. We just try to help people. He stares at you coldly. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International. The enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary. The Party Comuniste di Insulinda. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I've relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. We bulldoze them all into a mass grave for trying to free humanity. His hand shakes and he breaks into a coughing fit. Spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal fire pit. Renee, the royalist on the coast, said, the communists signed the Revacholian Instrument of Surrender. Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors, who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party. Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender. He just wipes the blood from his chin. Honorable. Honor is a feudal atavism. He looks at the fire pit. My motive is class. So you're a communist soldier in the communist army? No, I'm not a soldier. I'm an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. But you said you were trained and assigned to the Defense Corps. Trained, nods, in historical materialism. So historical materialism. And assigned as a political commissar. By the party. These things used to mean something. That means you're a trained communist, right? Wait, what does a political commissar do? The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs. The lieutenant speaks softly. His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control. He follows the ideology of the commune. Scientific communism. Tracksuit-clad old man is suddenly reanimated. A commissionaire politique is a night philosopher of the revolution, a future human. He was like a cleric, a shepherd. Really now? Okay then, over-mystified that a bit. Thank you, Land Empire. So you're a trained communist. Nods slowly. And another tremor. Poor dude out in the rain. Say nothing. He looks away to the sea and lets out a cough. I have another serious question for you. Oh, why is my composure so bad? What have you been using this gun for? I've used it for killing people. Killing people? It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family, your property? I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people. Interesting. Lieutenant nods. During or after the war? There's no after the war. He shakes his head and smiles. His teeth rotten, black. Last war is never over. So he's continued killing after the hostilities ended. Okay. Going straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No, be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal. Wait, so which one do I say then? Nothing comes to you. Silence. His black eyes look at you. And in them, chill. Like electricity running up your spine, crawling into your skull. What? All is not as it seems! Detective? Lieutenant turns to you with well-disguised impatience. Damn it, ask already. He wants to say! No, he's not the killer! Shivers is never wrong! So you're saying you killed people after the active fighting stopped? What did I just say? Keeps shaking his head. Erratically. Suddenly. He brushes something out of his eye. What did I just tell you? Don't drop the ball now! Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contract at Krenel? Who now? He leans in and cups his ear. He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire! A beautiful, strong man sent here by the Honorable Private Military Company, Krenel. He wants me to repeat it. The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of March 4th. Ah, yes. That one. He looks up into the sky and clacks his tongue. Ugly piece of work, that boy. Did you kill him? Lieutenant takes a sudden step towards him. I am a son of a welder. I'm an officer of the Commune of Revachol. He spits a big one at the lieutenant's feet. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The scent of blood in the air, but what else? Or something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are confusing. Go with something else first. We've done the ballistics. The shot came from this island. I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascists. A jitter passes him. Did you like the view? You had direct visibility. There were embrasures in the concrete specifically meant for a top-faller to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. The lieutenant softens his voice. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid. I'm ready to die. Man interrupts him and coughs. I've done my part. He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascists for fascist. Done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle doesn't seem to have a scope. One thing. Where's the scope? How did you make that shot without a scope? We have everything else. Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now. He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on. Bullshit. It's not him. For some reason, it's not him. He's protecting someone. But why? It's the best uninterrupted line of sight into that window in all of Martinez. Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gaucher is right. You have worms in your brain. Another sudden twitch, and one more in his white eye. Almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments, anything. I don't need your cooperation. I got this. Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there? It's a real gun. He points to your sidearm. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that, jumping hoops for liberals. Look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them? Give you real weapons, sir. Going against automatic rifles with a flame bomb. Of course you got all those boys killed. Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. You would have had a good view from the tribunal here. A good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay, so what? Don't let it divert you. We saved a lot of them. Our leader Titus. We handled that situation. We didn't handle anything. Now watched it happen. You let those murderers rip right into them. Most of them killed, even the fat one. None of those people mean anything to you. Vultures feed on this city and you prepare the meal for them. Getting diverted. Push the gun. Only the gun matters. So you watched the fight. Lieutenant points inland. Did you like what you saw? The mayhem? It was all your doing. Your plan. You got them killed. You don't know anything. That switch runs across the left side of his face as he stares the lieutenant down. Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon. You know what? The lieutenant looks at the weapon demonstratively. You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? You think we have the murder weapon? 4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. He lists. We have it. This is it. I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon. I don't think we do. Fuck, okay. Ah, but I don't think we do. Good. Lieutenant takes out his notebook and draws a single line. This feels good, doesn't it? Tying things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer. Murder. The old man doesn't say anymore. Just glances into the reeds and switches once more. Why does he keep looking at the reeds? Like a marionette on some invisible string. This pushed him, but not enough. He's looking at something. The fucking cryptid, that's what it is. The reed boy. Come on, what am I forgetting? Wait, here it comes. Goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Classier's roof. Oh, yes. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. And Maybells on Classier's balcony. Right, don't forget the footprints. Diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Classier's room. Now they're gonna come up. Oh, Classier came here and shot him. Of course. Thank you, Head, thank you. You got it. Remember the boot prints? Were like no modern soul? Maybells behind the victim's window. I saw them growing here. Damn Maybells. He looks at the blossoming field. The whole island is turning white with them. He seems tender suddenly. Nostalgic even. A strange mood swing. So many this year too. Spring is coming? No. It's already here. Wash the filth away. I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martinaise. Only here. They blossom on the islets before. We fertilized them with our blood. He looks to the water. Resurrection was Snow White in May, before they ruined it. South, the Bay of Martinaise is dotted with little freckles of islets turning green, with white flowers in white snow. Coast too. They piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with. You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Lieutenant's voice is soft, friendly. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops? I may. A curious tremor passes his face. Were you the one banging Classier? A young woman called Classier. Ring any bells? Flowers like these were behind her window. Classier. He repeats the name with care, as if it were at risk of breaking. He knows her, but hadn't heard the name. Yes, Classier. You hadn't heard her name, had you? My ears don't reach the city. You like the name, don't you? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary. With the victim. He turns his sight from the whitening field of flowers and falls silent, and the muscles in his jaw twitch. A spasm. You've been getting off to her through the hole, haven't you? Only been any loose ends here. Get him on everything. Wonder what brand of boots you're wearing. Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares about brand my shoes are, Sansa? He looks at his running shoes, covered in mud. Some shit. Show me the soles, please. I've lost Kim's voice. Show me the soles, please, Mr. Dross. Fucking imbecile. The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of the worn-out running shoes on his feet. The maker is Sansaric. You see their V-shaped logo. I can't make out the size. These are not the unusual horizontal pattern shoes you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. What? They do, however, seem to be about the same size. The size fits. The size fits, but not the sole. Lieutenant comes to the same conclusion. Maybe it's simpler than that. Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now. People change shoes. Doesn't mean you weren't there. Near the room the victim died in, sneaking around. Racking those brains, are you? He squints at you. Black pearls gleaming with hatred. Desperate to report something back to your masters. Must have really loved that dead fuck. Lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. Prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent, suddenly. Some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. I will be right back, guys. I need to expel horrible fluids again. And we are back. Sorry about that. Let me quickly use my skill point as well, because that is probably a good idea. Composure. Shove that back up, since we're about to need it very, very badly. He suddenly jerks to life. You know who he was? A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood. He was a rapist. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. He breathes in with strange animation. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. He looks at you dead in the eye, pupils shaking. Now, you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now, you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds. He breathes through flared nostrils. This is it! Shot him! Shot him! Say shot him, not killed him! So you shot him? Oh, the inhumanity. Closes his black eyes. One paramilitary less in Revachol. Can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fists begin to tremble from anger. Lieutenant raises his arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. It's not. I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. He begins to smile. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore, but I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, that stupid look on his face, and his dick still in her. Then what? Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning, there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white. What's left of it, anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did. Lieutenant just looks at him for 1, maybe 2 seconds, then breaks the silence. Mr. Dross, are you aware that you're confessing to murder? Yes. A single word is all he gives. The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly. And you were looking at them, the victim and the young woman, having sex through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him? The old man nods. Why? Because that's what they were doing. He shrugs and smacks his lips. The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant's preparing the ground. I don't understand. He turns to you. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part. Why were you looking at him that night? I'm always looking. He cocks his head to the side and turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his left side, lower in intensity. Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? He explains. I'm just trying to understand. The rifle scope is the best magnification. And if you don't like it, you pull the trigger. Yes, think of it as a form of critique. He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. Got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. Start with when he first saw him. And we'll give him a chance to ramble. The composure's still very low. I'm going to boost it one more time. And if not, we'll have to put on some fucking stupid clothes. It is only legendary, it's not impossible. When did you first see the deceased? 3 weeks ago, and the rich hag came in on her galley. Her honor guard came in tow. Joyce means Joyce. By that you mean Joyce Messier, a Wild Pines rep. Wrinkled up whore, he nods. Whore, good strong word. I use it often myself. Yes, old-fashioned. Moving on, the victim arrived sometime after her. He nods towards the city. They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy, drunk. Seen that kind during the landing. Those Occidental and Mesque Phalanges weren't conscripts. Boys like us, they were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt. Whites, huh? Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing and the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see their return now. Show their real face. The face they don't dare to show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi. With their families and polyester clothes. What specifically did you not like about what you saw on the night of the murder? Them fucking. He looks at the charred wood. I didn't like that. So you were jealous? Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die, so he could not enjoy life anymore. For him to stop reacting to stimuli, be broken off from the world, cordoned into darkness. And I wanted her to see his head explode. That too. He should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second. Writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. He shrugs. You can't have everything. This man has seen past her like you did. And now he longs to see her covered in blood. To punish her. How long had you been watching her? Since she came to Martinez. Saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning. And the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. Didn't have her skimpy outfit on then. Just a spot in the night, moving. Past the Feld building, on the coast. What was she doing there? Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. Fag? Like it... Okay. They've said cigarette up until now. That was out of nowhere. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me. But I could see her. Smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. What do you think she hid there? Her passport and tickets to Valère. Hey, you have them! Okay. And from there to Kashabrum. In the free state of the Seminine. Hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale. It's the hidden buoy she told us about. You looked into it. He nods after she was gone. Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty. No, how would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I put them back. I wanted to extort someone, I'd do it better. This implies that he's thought about extorting her. Also, a little inconsistency here. I was surprised to hear her name was Classier before. Would he not have seen it on the documents? Yeah, you saw her name on the passport, but before, when I said her name was Classier, you didn't recognize it. It didn't say Classier in there. He shakes his head. What did it say her name was in the passport? It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face in the photo. You sure? We checked the submersible and there was nothing there. He looks to the reeds, confused. Yeah, he's already said that. Moving on. Did you continue watching her after this? I did. He almost smiles. She had a face like an archipelago. Those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was. A spook on the run. River shows the cloaca of the capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here. To do drugs. To have sex like animals. You could tell she was a spook from the documents. She's had different color hair in the photo, glasses, forged, some sordid bourgeois affair. Heard about this kind of thing on the radio. He's setting it up for you. The bruises. Can't make out that in a scope. And you could see her bruises through the scope of a rifle? You can't see bruises in a scope. Just a blur. How does he know those minute details about her body? Please get it right. Could have changed shoes, found the people. Yeah, it's so obvious though. I put this together and I'm not a cop. Ah! Like the crab man? No. How did you get close enough to see her bruises, Mr. Dross? I have my ways. Cracked smile appears on his dried white list. So obvious. There you go. Thank you, Kim. You've been through the secret route behind the whirling in rags. Lieutenant steps in. Those were your footprints. You just changed your shoes. I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny. Thank God the lieutenant's picking it up. Yes, than God. Thank you. Translation. But that nook too? Lieutenant does not let you finish. Yes, that too. Shakes his head almost in awe. Things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny, the way light works. You can turn it on inside and it gets so dark out that you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s when they were still hunting me. Seen people do some shit. But keeps shaking his head. Those two took the cake. You hear a familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. Quick glance at you. You drawing them fucking? He's so drawing them fucking. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective. Then at the man. How did you get in there? Hidden pinball workshop. You can just walk in there now. After a good wash. Told you they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. Kitchen's empty. You had to open the steel door in the kitchen. How? Well, there was never a key, so he's clearly got the key, right? Got that open a long time ago. Oh no, there was a key. What am I talking about? Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. Of spare keys. All over. And I took one. And I saw her turn the light on. One night in my scope. Points towards the whirling in rags. He found use for it. A spare key. And the one hanging behind the union box window. You wanted to punish her. So you killed him. She practically breastfed that man. Wouldn't believe the thing she let him do to her. He shakes his head and stares at the ashes. You stare at them too. In your mind, her innocence day still turns to leaf. Airport bag in hand. Silks flowing in her wake. The dream. See you tomorrow, Harry. A voice rings in the evening. Hair burning. She did deserve a good punishing. Jesus, no! I don't think like that. You saw through her? So did I. You're delusional. There's nothing to see in the soul of the bourgeois woman. It's the same as the surface. Sick hedonism. Desperation. I'm not like that. I don't think like that. No one gives a shit. What do you think? The old man spits in the ash. You and your cronies kill 10 working-class men a day. I've seen the statistics on Channel 8. You had feelings for that woman. There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough. The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying? Man needs to feel something else in this fight. It helps if you have your eye on something here. He looks to the city. It's weakness. I know. There have been others. Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. Was that why you left the dried flowers behind our window? No. He starts to shake his head again. A sunflower on a withered stalk. Why then? I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child in the corner of her room on the floor. Like she does sometimes. When was this? Man, we've been talking to this arsehole for 3 hours. The day after I killed him. And you brought her Maybells? Yes. He looks at the charred logs. I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. As if something put the thought there, to leave the flowers. Something put the thought in you, a compulsion. What do you mean, put? He raises his eyes. They're round and wide. A brief flash of terror. I just got this feeling from what you said. Do you agree? Maybe. He lowers his head and just stares at the logs. I told you I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here, waiting for you. If you came here 10 years ago, I would have killed you. He wipes his eye. In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes and nods at you once more. One more down. So in conclusion, it wasn't about him. It was about her. He repeats, staring at the ashes. Then the reeds. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye. The lieutenant nods at you. In acknowledgement, we've extracted a motive. And a new skill point. I go straight into composure. We're becoming a slightly sane dude as we finally wrap up this case. Although, not everything's as it seems. That's it. Motive. We have it. The old man looks at you, suddenly remembering something. Where is she? At Classier. I haven't seen her there for days. Safe and sound, sire. Surely you've not misplaced the witness. She got away. But she let us here. I'm being honest with this guy. She let us here first. Pedrama told us not. It's a legendary success. I'm not at liberty to say. I know she's gone. He looks to the city. Locked up, on the run. She kept staring into the scope. You know, in the end, this last week at the... What? She kept staring into the scope, you know. In the end, this last week at the fort, like she knew. Like she knew I was here. He adds, to no one in particular. Doesn't matter. Midtown, across the Bay of Revachol, the oceanic wind washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lausanne's central aerodrome. A cocoon suspended in the sky by a web of suspension wiring, encircled by the hybrid aircraft. Look north. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Yet still, she smiles among the crowd, among the great ghost of the city she's leaving. For another, far south. Smaller, distant, hidden. Not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the spring air below her. Streets and towers, tenements and water, and across it, a dark strip of ruins barely visible. If she didn't squint her eyes... There on a dilapidated jetty in a nameless village, 2 police officers and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. The ruins of a sea fort stick out of the water built by Philippe II, reappropriated by the Commune, then lost in the landing. Who's talking? He's doing the... What? Oh, he's doing there. He's there, doing... What exactly, I don't know. Satellite Officer Vikamar points to the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something. That's why we can't see him. Special Consultant Heidelstam is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get coffee until then. I know this interesting little place where... Is it... Wait, that was a man? I don't know who that is. His voice trails off as the 3 walk... Oh, there's a third now! As the 3 walk down the jetty. As the men go, Patrol Officer Mino looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification, like a rotten tooth rising out of the water. Good luck, Harry, she thinks. You need something good for this. We could get more. Lieutenant uses the opportunity to tell you in a lowered voice. We've got him talking. Who knows what he's seen and done over the years. You could get more out of him. He likes talking. Odd flower behavior. We're getting there. Been looking at anything else you haven't liked? A tragicomedy. He shakes to life. Druggies, prostitutes, rentiers. More specifically the whole city is a charnel house. stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez, he shakes his head in grave disgust. Martinez is the worst. How come? Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world, listening to race-themed radio shows in the ruins, in their lorries. He points inland. I'm full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by a social democratic union and the farce of a social democrat who runs it. Mr. Clare? Yes, the fly lava in his container. Let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square to spit on the working class. Let him finish. Not since the serfs of ancient Periconassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins, in tents, like animals. He points to the church, like those boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. Nod. Worst of them yet is the blood-drenched Sukhriant on her yacht, licking her lips. Old whore's gone now. Gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade in the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in the Zone, or Croix-en-Moraine, or some other island they've built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children throughout history, in the royal bloodline of the suzerain. It's just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt Frizzle is now dead. Just nod. Jesus, he doesn't stop, does he? We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. Only in the 30s, those disco whores. And follows an ominous mumbling. Cannot make out a single word. Disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people. Might be worth investigating. There was something about a statue on the roundabout and syphilis. Syphilis is a disease Philippe II contracted in a whorehouse. He fires quickly. The statue is an abomination. Abomination? Bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainium, and monuments of himself. His son Philippe III, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb. He breathes in with a wheeze of hatred. That is technically possible, although Philippe III wasn't actually syphilitic, he was just insane. He still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. Lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. Those grotesque statues too. Hundreds of them. But it's still there. What a keen remark, he sputters. Yes, it is, isn't it? Still there. Do you know why? Say because the king is holy and his statues are indestructible, but mean it ironically. I don't know. I do. Some advertising cockroaches use their accumulated capital to erect a new, ironic version of it. We tore it down with honest, working-class plastic explosives. There it is again, grinning. He shakes his head in disgust. Art is a bourgeois establishment. Fuck you, art's great. I mean, I don't really give a fuck about paintings and that. They're cool, and if you're into them, great. But I like music, and books, and games, and other kinds of art. Anyway, it's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be... And I like drawings, to be fair. Oh, God, I love it. No, I like paintings, too. I like art. I don't know what the fuck I was talking... I guess I was thinking, like, I don't really care about the Mona Lisa. It's cool, but yeah, that kind of thing, you know? Like art galleries, modern art. That shit sucks. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in the Yakokata. Wait, it suddenly strikes you. Perhaps it was not as it seemed. Actually, it was not deconstructed so much as captured in the moment of the explosion. What are you talking about? The ancient communard cocks his head. It's not a monument to Philippe III anymore. It's a monument to the monument of Philippe III exploding. What is this madness? A dim light comes on in his eyes. Lieutenant 2 has cocked his head and is looking at you with a strange expression. It's not madness. It's a monument to what you did, to your program of destaturing Revachol. So you're saying it's a communist monument now? Not only. Yes, and furthermore, the design bureau people are probably left-wing too. They often are. He did always have the prettiest posters. Maybe you're right. His eyes fill with understanding. That is how dialectics work. But understand this. Art is still a bourgeois institution. And they should all be sent to the Yakokata. Of course. I don't know about that. Could we not? Don't be squeamish. It is commonplace to relocate the workforce as the need arises. All nations do it. It's called settlement. He shakes his head and mumbles. I'm kind of bourgeois art fascist. That's it for the statue, then. Tell me, Mr. Dross. The fat union man, let them put it there. Corrupt as he is. Probably got a fat check for it too. Shepherd the law. Accusations of corruption. Push them aside with sharp change of topic, officer. Put the heat on him. By the cock parading in his colourful uniform. You mean Rene? Every fucking morning. For 34 years. He grinds his teeth in rage. Throwing a ball, one ball against the other. Always loathe that game. It is not a working class game. Don't care what they say on Radio June. All his ghouls play it like it was life itself. Click, clack. Makes the sound of the balls connecting. Across the water each day. That uniform, like parrot's plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A patank maniac race traitor. This nod. I remember him. Points to his black eye. I remember him from La Noche. Not him personally. His make and model. With tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. With a shaky finger he points towards the city. Toward the crater near the plaza where a lonely pine tree stands. That one. Fat and plump. Like a pheasant. It's begging to be popped off. A grin stretches across his face and he whispers, Please, Mr. Dross, don't shoot me. You'd like to kill him. The smile lingers. Not yet. I like to look at him strut around. Place the crosshair on his medals right on his face. And just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bonbon melt in my mouth. Save the treat for later, the lieutenant asked cheerfully. He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day, the blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, Rene, for the boys he killed. And then I look at him, throw those balls, and I suddenly feel... He lets out a wistful sigh. Better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. The lines on his face straighten as he looks inland. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. Hope it hurts like hell. Hope he sweats blood. Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him? Tell me something else, at least for now. Yes, of course. He mutters to himself. Must be passing a kidney stone. Hope it's excruciating. At least it keeps him from throwing his balls. Seems relieved. Could he have been worried for him? He reminds him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of another thing, but no, it's just the hatred. They're veterans of the same war. Somewhere west in Coal City, his enemy is lying in a dark room on a metal slider in Leosier Municipal. Like he will too. Soon. Half of the war between these men is over. With an agitated gait, Satellite Officer Jean Heron Vicamar paces the jetty, 22 kilometers east in Martinez. What could he possibly do there for so long? He says. Police work? Patrol Officer Judith Minot replies with a tinge of hope in her voice. A tinge of warmth, too, against the cold air rising from the water. He's drunk, she thinks, and we all know it. Still, she's just trying to see it in a generous light. Disco whores, huh? Whores, that's all he says. Even that word has to be pushed through his teeth with great force. The rage seethes too hard. When you mentioned the Union is social democratic, and Mr. Clare a farce of a social democrat. Another hideous disappointment. He pokes at the ash. The Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Place-sating in masses. Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the Union's top brass. Who's a disappointment? Everard Clare? That deformed toad. I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean the brains of the operation, the smart one. Doesn't Everard run the Union? That mobster toad couldn't run a shithouse. No, he has no political education. His twin Edgar Clare, that one's been to those East Revachol universities, talks a big game about uprising and alienation, so on. He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. Must have met in person for such animosity to have developed. We're not the first people you've met from the city, are we? We can't live alone. He stopped poking at the ash now. He shakes his head. The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing. Of course. Maybe the Clares asked him to... Don't go straight for the kill. Source everything else first, then soften him up. You approached him? I haven't approached anyone. I've hid. It was Edgar who came to me. How did he know you were here? He didn't just stumble in like an oaf, he nods to you. He's figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. He points to the path leading to the tower. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I haven't kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things. When was this? 20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then. That's around the time the Clares came to power. What did you talk about? Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects, like I were a fossil in uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Mazov. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Mazov. He suddenly remembers. Oh, and the charity, too. They love their charity. Fed me blankets and social housing. Still have the gas cooker he brought. And he let you be here. Let me be here? He looks around. The Tsar is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this. They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy, but why such a courtesy? Mr. Dross, did you kill the Krenel mercenary for the Clares? To incite a riot? You know why I killed that fucker, Traitor. He shakes his head. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again. Again? What have you done for Edgar before? Tried teaching him some Mazovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways. Okay, you didn't do the hanged man for him, but he's insinuating something. There is more here. Can feel it. He was not outright lying, but what was the deal between him and Edgar? Come on! Oh, come on! One away! Dumbo, do something! You can't zone out now! This isn't Doodaloo dance time! Slap yourself in the head again. Jumpstart it! Are you right about that? Wait, it was about him meeting Edgar and a deal. Is this meant to happen? By God, we're on the edge, at the very end, and you can't remember what you're trying to connect, can you? While the murder suspect stares at you with contempt, I don't even know what we were doing. Something with the Union boss, come on. Officer, Lieutenant watches you beat yourself in the head. Again, second time in this interview. Mr. Dross, about this deal you made. With Edgar, the death of the Krenel mercenary was only coincidentally beneficial to the Clares. But what about the other people you've killed for them? Other people. Like the previous forewoman of the Union. Ah, of course! That's it! That's what you weren't connecting yourself. He wags a finger at him. I didn't fight 40 years to end up with an informant for the international regime. What happened, happened. Still dumb, your eyes are transfixed on his digit. It's yellow with nicotine. Before, when you asked him about the Union, he said it was a disappointment. They promised him something political. They promised political change, and they didn't deliver. Look who's up, he scoffs. You're worse off than me. We will have plenty of time to talk about this, Mr. Dross. He does not let him gloat. When you're in pre-detention. It takes years in pre-detention. Go ahead. Straggler closes his gap-toothed smile. I've been in solitary confinement my whole life. Ease off it. This was not an unmitigated disaster. Lieutenant mitigated it. Just proceed. Calmly. You know, about that Renee. Yes, where is he? He tenses up. Hope he doesn't have debilitating arthritis or kidney stones. Can still come out to play with balls and get shot in the head, right? My God, he's even worried for him. Renee is dead. Died of old age a couple days ago. No. Yes. The old communist looks at you. His blackberry eyes shaking in disbelief. I waited too long. And now he's dead. I am sorry, Mr. Dross. Lieutenant says softly. I understand you knew him for a long time. They're all dead now. He just shakes his head. Fuck it. If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. Must have been 1,000 black days on these islands. His health ailing. I'm sorry. Fuck you, the old communard says, staring at the ground, seemingly to the island you're on. You cared about him. A little flash of anger. Well, human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing his head explode, and now, God damn this world. You reminded him of himself. The same hatred, yeah. You had 1,000 chances to kill him, and I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. Ancient dust. Are you okay, Mr. Dross? To go on? Think I haven't seen people die. It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had to love, to colonize the Pale. It's all fucked. He's not okay. It's just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, making him endure. An idea told to him by grown-ups from radio towers and leaflets. In beautiful print when he was still a teenager. Everything is possible if we fight, and it's true. And then he lost. So did they all. I'm glad we talked about this. Now, had we talked about what? Another erratic gesture. He's trembling. I want to ask again about the people you don't like. No, I don't. Yours? That's it for now, old man. Stay put. I ain't going anywhere. You know what? I was gonna do this check in my stupid clothes just so it's an easier chance, but I like my detective outfit. We're so much cooler in it, and I'm not wearing a stupid fucking tracksuit in the most important part of the game so far. Whoa! That was an autosave, not a quick save. I didn't actually quick save at such a pivotal moment. That would have been terrible. Woo! Jesus. Move. Come on, do the thing. We're not sitting here forever. I need to assess that body language. What's going on with you, old man? Is this about Classier? Because it talks about the flower behavior. But I thought we'd already established that he was, you know, vaguely in love in a weird stalkery way. Right? I mean, is this one that I always fail? Because it seems like we fail every fucking skill check in this, like, as a rule, because we're in so much pain or whatever. Or just had I think it might be because we had our dream. I think our dream might make us constantly fail checks. Never mind. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who spent 44 years in the urban wild, he's surprisingly okay. Indeed, he speaks fluidly, his movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas, and above all, he seems animated. He hasn't been alone. That's what I'm getting. Animated by what? It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost, too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers from mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair, dementia? We've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they're lucid, keen even, not senile. Wouldn't a foul temper be a byproduct of his life? Perhaps, but this seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some kind of underlying neurological disorder. Mr. Dross, are you okay? How's your memory? He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there. No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people. The most relatable fucking line of the whole game. There it is again. Erratic hand motion, bouts of rage. Excuse me. And the stomach thing too, of course. But we didn't figure anything out from there. Stay here, old man. I'm going on a walk. We're not done on this fucking island. I'm sure of it. Oh man, but we're done here. I think there's something in the reeds that he keeps looking at. No?